Tantra, the art of life. Sex, love, relationships. Each of these words carries great significance for a person living in the 21st century and modern society. However, these aspects of life are not openly studied anywhere. Although sex, love, and relationships are just as much a part of life as food, business, work, sports, weather, and other aspects. Talking about sex is scary, and videos showing sex cause discomfort. Similarly, an explicit erotic dance provokes judgment or embarrassment inside a person. Why does this happen? After all, this aspect of life, sex, is very important for most people. But from childhood to adulthood, a person has no education in this matter, except their own experiences, often negative. Why does this happen? After all, the desire for pleasant sexual sensations and the enjoyment of being a loved one are natural parts of human nature. However, people lack knowledge in this matter. If we think back to our school years, parental upbringing, and any modern films, we won't find any education on the sexual aspects of life. For example, how to properly introduce oneself, choose a partner, communicate with another person, build relationships, overcome various difficulties, fears, psychological complexes, and so on. No one knows anything about this. And finding this knowledge can be very difficult. Quite the opposite, the world around us presents completely distorted examples. How people fear introducing themselves, are afraid to dance, and often get involved with someone under the influence of alcohol, someone who is completely hideous, and then suffer for the rest of their lives. And there is no education anywhere on how to make one's life happy and enjoyable, so that every person can feel happiness, pleasure, and delight, understanding what brings joy, peace, tranquility, and harmony into life. It's equally important to have a profound understanding of what creates troubles, problems, and difficulties in one's life. The ancient knowledge of Tantra, which we are revealing in this movie, emphasizes the importance of being selective when choosing a partner. In the art of Tantra, this is given great significance because Tantra involves the exchange of sexual energy with a partner. In other words, a person literally becomes like the one with whom they engage in sexual union, absorbing the energy of their partner. It's not for nothing that there's a saying among people, "You become like the company you keep." In ancient culture, only a very small fraction of men could engage with women intimately. Only the strongest, wisest, and most worthy individuals conducted the sexual ceremony known as Maithuna. Before becoming eligible for this, a man went through rigorous trials and received years of preparation. Those who didn't pass the test had no right to be intimate with a woman. In the modern world, the majority of men are unworthy and would be unable to pass any of the ancient tantric tests because they possess harmful habits like laziness, weakness, vindictiveness, alcoholism, idleness, greed, selfishness, and poverty. Modern men suffer from a variety of illnesses, psychological disorders, and other vices. If a woman engages in sexual contact with such an individual, she starts absorbing all of these negative energies and the deplorable mental state in which the man resides. Due to such sexual contacts, a woman may end up with a very unfortunate fate, filled with unbearable difficulties, suffering, and illnesses. A man's dignity was determined by two primary qualities. The first was the ability to achieve something in life and have significant financial prosperity to provide for all the woman's needs. The second was to have a high level of spiritual evolution and possess qualities like nobility, generosity, heroism, spirituality, compassion, creative interests, and assist women in their spiritual development. The second quality is inseparable from the first, because if a man has money, he can be miserly, selfish, jealous, and greedy, spending his wealth only on his own comfort and pleasure. Therefore, in ancient times, every candidate for the title of a man went through rigorous selection. Naturally, a woman should also possess a high level of energy, femininity, sensuality, a flexible and strong body, wisdom, and an understanding of life. She should also be able to express any emotions, in other words, be like an actress, vibrant and desirable. Only in such a case can a woman attract the attention of a worthy man and build a relationship with him. Such art is not taught in schools or college. But in our Tantra teachings, a woman becomes like a goddess. For the few men who are capable of growth, there is a separate men's school where they go through their training. A person's mood is the most important thing for them, because even with money, good health, and good people around, many people still fall into depressive moods and feel bad, not knowing how to get out of them. But in ancient times, from an early age, people were taught the art of life, the ability to be in a good mood and the right state of mind. In ancient times, people primarily learned to control themselves, because if they could put themselves in the right mood, they could solve any problem in the external world and achieve any goal. Conversely, if they were in a bad state, even the smallest detail could become a gigantic problem, leading them into trouble. The art of life and developing the skill to be happy are closely tied to sexuality. Because if a person has sexual problems, fears, phobias, complexes, and so on, they cannot be fully happy. These psychological issues affect everything in life, because everything in the external world is built on relationships between people and the flow of sexual energy within a person, which is blocked by various constraints, hinders a person's success. For example, let's take a woman's loose and open dance. It evokes, in most people, the same sensation as when they see ancient sculptures of mating figures in Khajuraho, or statues of Shiva lingams. It can be shocking, invite judgment, or embarrassment, but at the same time, there is an inherent curiosity about it. In ancient secret tantric schools, there was training in working with sexual energy. The most important aspect of this training was that a person learned not to waste sexual energy aimlessly, but to channel it into something beneficial for their development and for experiencing sublime emotions. However, people often experience sexual repression or blockages, and this is detrimental. It's important to liberate oneself and work on releasing these blockages, as it allows sexual energy to flow freely and properly. In our tantric teachings, practices such as yoga, dance, and other dynamic exercises helps individuals free themselves from sexual constraints to become more harmonious and liberated beings. The psychological process in the human body are regulated by the instinctive center, and it works more or less correctly. Food is digested, blood flows through the vessels, and the heart beats. But the instinctive center won't help us find a worthy partner or guide us on how to raise sexual energy higher. The task of the instinctive center is to ensure human reproduction. The instinctive center wants our sexual energy to be released as quickly as possible so that a person can reproduce sooner. In Tantra, on the contrary, we are going against the instincts, raising the energy upwards. So, the instinctive center may dictate one thing, but in this case, we do not follow it and do something completely different. In terms of sexual culture, a person's level is at a primitive animal stage because nobody focused on its development from childhood. If a child grew up in the jungle without the influence of a cultured society, they would tend to behave like a monkey, running on all fours and climbing on trees. If a child is left to grow up among dogs, they will bark like a dog. In other words, it is not natural for a person to become human on their own. If they do not enter a cultural environment with other people, they cannot become human. the child will become like a dog, a monkey, or anything else. Real-life situations confirm this. When children grew up among animals, it was already impossible to change them, no matter how hard scientists and cultured people tried. To move from the animal level to further development, a specific cultural influence is required. This applies not only to matters that are already accepted in society, but also to areas related to sex, nutrition, sleep, breathing, and proper relaxation. Unfortunately, our society is at a very low level of culture. Wars are ongoing, crime is thriving, corruption, drug abuse, and alcoholism. Many people are experiencing various psychoses, hysteria, and paranoia. Therefore, individuals must seek wisdom and spiritual schools that can teach them how to live and transform their existence. Such wise individuals are found at the highest cultural level and can bring culture, harmony, and knowledge into all aspects of human life. In sex, or in the language of Tantra, Mithuna, the first goal of a person is to raise energy upwards. If the energy starts dissipating and discharging in orgasms, we won't progress further. This means that instincts have won again. However, we must overcome these instincts and subject them to our control. When the energy rises upwards, we can then use it for our own purposes rather than for the purposes of nature, which instilled in us the drive for reproduction. There are misconceptions among ignorant people that Tantra is all about orgies. However, in reality, tantric rituals should never be considered as orgies. They are not orgies. Tantra is ascetic because while participating in it, a person remains in a state of full consciousness. The practitioner controls their energy and serves not their own desires and passions, but the divine energy of Kundalini. In true Tantra, Mithuna ends at the peak of arousal and transitions into meditation. It should by no means end in an orgasm. There's also a misconception among uninformed individuals that strong sexual energy is harmful to health because, without ejaculation and orgasms, a person becomes nervous, leading to sexual dissatisfaction. But such a belief is related to the fact that dissatisfaction in an average person leads to discomfort, negative emotions, and psychological complexes. A tantric practitioner who can control energy and express it through creativity and meditation is far from such issues. If a person experiences fear of orgasm, that's also detrimental. There should be a calm confidence that the body will obey the will. True Tantra is not only not harmful, but on the contrary, extremely beneficial. A person becomes younger before your eyes. All illnesses disappear. You regain the state of youth. In the Karma Sutra and the Tao of Love, it is mentioned that one should prolong sexual intercourse, but this also doesn't constitute Tantra. These are just different methods of satisfying the primitive instinct of reproduction. And there's a negative aspect that arises from prolonged sexual intercourse. First, the energy rises and then slowly decreases without orgasm and ejaculation. Therefore, a master is required to understand true Tantra. They will guide you on the path to real development, which takes place in our teachings.